Hello, welcome to COSC 1436 using C++. I'm just going to go through and just give you a quick little tour of the class and go over the syllabus and some of the important points. So every time you come into the class, you're going to see the announcements, and I will post I'll make sure and post reminders of assignments. In assignment 0, it tells you how to make sure that you have set up the correct email address on eCampus. Because every time I post an announcement, the announcement goes to your email. So I want to make sure that you have your correct email address set up. So the first thing you'll do is you'll go into assignments and assignment 0. When you open the document, here it tells you how to set up this. Let's see here. Gives you the steps here to set up your email address right there. So assignment 0, I'll just start talking about it since I'm here. Assignment 0, you're going to print the course schedule. You're going to make sure that you have the correct email address. You're going to go to the discussion board and introduce yourself. Make sure that you read some of the other responses and respond to another student in the class. You're going to print the syllabus and you're going to complete the syllabus quiz. The syllabus quiz for this class is 10 bonus points. And most of the questions are in the syllabus. So let's take a look at the syllabus right now. Here in assignment 0, by the way, is where you find the syllabus quiz. It's right there. Okay. And we'll come back and look at these other things in a second. Okay, so in this syllabus, there's a few important things. This is spring 2019. Here's my email address, gcorrea@dccd.edu. You want to always email me with the section number. The section number is 33420. I also have a 1436, that's section 421, and they are using different programming languages. So I really need to know. You can either write the section or just tell me that you're in my C++ class, and then I'll know how to answer you. Okay, so there's the email. This is the lab location if you need to go to the lab and use our lab. And that phone number is the phone number to the instructional associate for the entire computer science department. You can call that number and Marianne Johnson will answer, or you can leave a message for her. If for some reason you can't get a hold of me, or if you need to check out a book or use the software, you can call her and she can help you with that. We have some copies of the book that you can either use on campus or check out until you get your book if you're having problems with your book. So here's the book. The book is an introduction to programming with C++. It's the 8th edition. This is not the most current edition, so it should be a little bit less expensive. I try to be one edition behind, so you're not having to pay high prices for the books. You can use a used book. You don't need any special software code in the book. You can also buy the ebook, or you can rent the book. I think renting the book might be like $30, $35. So any of those options is fine. I personally have both a physical copy and an ebook, and I enjoy using both of them. Um, I kind of actually like the ebook a little better, just because it's easier to find things. So the compiler is a free compiler. You can use Dev C++. If you're on a Windows operating system, you can use code blocks. You can use Visual C++. This one actually costs money. Or Xcode for Macs. If you're if you have a Macintosh, you can use Xcode. The let's see. I think, let me look over here for a second under assignments. So under here, where it says Mac users, this talks about the compiler if you're using a Mac, but the Xcode compiler, and then how to find tutorials online to help you with the installation and how to use it. And I just do something really generic because the versions of the compiler change pretty quickly. Okay, and then if we go back to assignment 0, I also have a folder for Windows users. So there's a link for code blocks, link for Dev C++. Dev C++ is for Windows 10 users or above. And let's see. And then there's Microsoft Visual C++. And here's the link if you have an older Windows machine. I personally found code blocks to be easier to install. I used to use Dev C++, and for some reason when I tried to install it this past summer on a new machine that we bought, Windows machine, it just gave me so much trouble to install. But most people use Dev C++ and don't have any problems. And I did notice that I have too many pluses there, but that's okay. Okay, let me change this to the student view. There we go. Okay, so back to the syllabus. That is not the syllabus. Okay, so here you have the dates, the important dates. Class starts on Tuesday, ends May the 16th. But even though it ends on the 16th, which is when I turn in grades, if you look at the course schedule, the last day to turn in assignments is actually going to be the 10th. The drop date is April 17th. If you are on financial aid, February the 4th is the census date. That's the date that I turn in everybody that has attended the class. And the way that we take attendance online is that you have taken quiz 0 or maybe introduced yourself on the discussion board. But hopefully by February 4th, you've started many assignments and are on track. Okay, going down here, this is just the course outline. And you want to look at the course schedule for more details. Course schedules here on the left-hand side under book. We'll look at that in a second. And this says the pace of the class is determined by the course schedule. You can work through instructional materials on your own at times convenient to you. You have to complete the assignments by the course schedule. If you do not complete all the assignments when they are due, it will become difficult to complete the course. Falling behind is the biggest obstacle to your success. So try to stick to that course schedule. It's very important. You should give yourself, for each chapter, you should give yourself at least 3 to 4 hours a week to complete each chapter. Think about if you had this class on campus, you would be there for 6 hours a week because this class is a 6 contact hour class. So you would have an hour and a half of a lecture, um, one day followed by the lab, and then another day, hour and a half of lecture with an hour and a half of lab. So each chapter takes quite a long time. This is very important. Make sure that you read this section. It is very easy these days to go find answers, copy programs. I check every program, I read everybody's program, and it's very easy for me to see what has been copied. And so you can definitely get help. You can look at code, but do not copy word for word programs because I'll be able to tell, and you'll get a 0 on your first assignment. And after the second assignment, you will fail the course. So don't copy work, it doesn't help you. All right, here we go. Programming labs. There are 14 of programming labs. Some programming labs is actually 2 small programs that you code. A lot of times you'll have a program and a debugging exercise. The debugging is where you have the code and you have to find the errors in the code. And so there's 14 of those. It's 1 per chapter. You have a midterm and a final exam that come from the quizzes. There's some quizzes at the end of each chapter that you take. They're called the self-check quizzes. And these are not graded. There are no points for them. You can take them as many times as you want. They'll give you the right answer. It's just so you can practice. And then there are 4 discussions. To get the full points, you want to post your answer and then you want to reply to somebody else. Make sure that you check your spelling and your grammar because that counts on the discussions. Grading scale, 900 points to 1,000 is an A. So it's a pretty typical scale. 800 to A99 is a B, etc. I do have some extra points built in. I have 2 reviews that you can complete before you take the test. Each review is 10 extra points, and then the syllabus is 10 points. So you can get up to 30 extra points, bonus points. Lab assignments are 1 point off for each day that they're late. And the discussions close on the due date. The exams close the last day of class. So the exams are open the entire semester because I want students to finish chapter 8 before they take the midterm. And so if for some reason you've fallen behind, I don't want you taking a midterm before you actually go through the entire first 8 chapters. Okay. I think that's all the important things about the syllabus. Really quickly, back here we have announcements. Always read those or check your email. This is information about me and a syllabus. Here's the book. So this takes you to the website. This is actually the publisher of the book. You don't have to buy the book here, but notice that the ebook is $27, so you can get it right away. And they give you access until May 21st. This class ends, it actually ends before May, but yeah. So if you wanted to get that, you could. And then you can rent the print book, and you can actually buy the print book really cheap online, like through Amazon or some other online store. Okay, course schedule. This is something you want to print out. It has all the due dates of all the assignments. Again, like chapter 1 here. Actually, this is a pretty easy chapter, but each chapter you want to give yourself 6 hours. If you finish before the 6 hours, hooray, that's wonderful. But you want to give yourself like, and don't do 6 hours in one day. That's not productive when programming. Split it into 2 days, split it into 3 days. Take your time. You cannot, it's not like history that you can just try to do everything in one day. Programming is, you need time, you need breaks, because solving problems and coding, it just requires you to have those breaks, and your brain not to be fried from not sleeping and spending all night working on these assignments. So it's pretty easy at the beginning, and then it starts to get hard. So if you want to get ahead at the beginning, that's a good idea. You don't actually start turning in programs using your compiler until this chapter 4 here. So see chapter 4, it says the C++ compiler, you will need the C++ compiler starting here. So these assignments just require a text document. You can send me a PDF. You can send me a Word document. Any of those are fine. And then, so starting in chapter 4, you'll actually start compiling the programs and turning those in. Okay. Have all the holidays and drop date. So May 7th is actually the last date to submit late labs. No more labs after May 7th. I need lots of time to grade all that work. And then by May 10th, you can take any exams that you haven't taken, the midterm or the final, and your final review is due. Then here at the bottom, it says that I'm not available by email on holidays and spring break, so please plan accordingly. If you submit a lab on time, you can make corrections if needed. I will leave you feedback anytime I take off points on a lab. Sometimes when a student has just completely missed the boat on the lab, like it's just completely wrong, I will just give you a 0 and I will ask you to redo the lab, to redo whatever needs to be done or something that you missed, or I'll give you a grade and I'll say you can go ahead and make corrections because maybe the grade was very low. And so the purpose here is for you to learn, and it doesn't help you if you skip a lab. It doesn't help you if you don't learn that material, because with programming, everything builds on itself. So if you missed, let's say something like lab 5, it's going to hurt you all the way through. So everything builds on itself. You've got to master each lab. And mastering is like 85% or something. And then number 3 says labs receive 1 point off per day late, and your programs have to compile to receive credit. That makes sense, right? If they don't compile, if it doesn't work, you don't get credit for it. You'll notice when you read the assignments, when you start sending in programs, that I ask that you take a screenshot, that I ask that you send me the source file. This is where the code is where you type in the code, and I'll ask you to take a screenshot of your program running. Okay, when your program is running and you've entered some numbers and it shows the output, shows that it worked, you take a screenshot and send that to me. That makes my grading life much easier. I look for the screenshot, make sure that it, your stuff ran, and then I go look at the code and see how you coded it, and I make sure that you hit the objectives that are required as far as the way it's supposed to be coded. Okay. And going back to all the assignments, just looking at chapter 1. So in every folder, you'll have this document that tells you step by step what you need to do. And this is where you submit the lab. But if you go back one, you'll have a lecture presentation. Some students like it, some students don't. It's a PowerPoint presentation, and I added voice to it, and it might be helpful to you. Look at them. Some students will watch these and get everything that they need, and they don't have to read the book. And some students will just rather read the book, and some students do both. Okay. Now I did record the presentations a while back, and so note that this tells you that the chapter quizzes in this presentation, it tells you that they count for a grade, but they don't anymore. They're just self-check quizzes, and the edition of the book is different. Okay, but the material is all the same. Nothing has changed as far as the content is concerned. Here's the self-check quiz. And then in some folders, I add other, let's see, for example, chapter 3, I add other videos. So here's a lecture presentation, but then, okay, maybe not this video. Thinking of a different class. Chapter 4, I see chapter 4. Some of them have other, yeah, for example, this has a little video on how to create a zip file. I didn't create the video, it's just something that I found out there. And then, yeah, so here's some videos from YouTube. I didn't create these. And the lecture presentations are the ones that are the PowerPoints that have my voice. And then like this one says variables and constants and arithmetic operators. I just got those from YouTube, those videos. So I try to add some resources to help because I know that reading the book is just sometimes not helpful, especially for a class like this. All your grades, you can look at your grades through the grade book. Again, when you look at your grade, I always give feedback if I take off points. So you'll be able to, here on the right hand side, you'll be able to see your grade. You'll be able to click on it and see the feedback. If for some reason the feedback is not there and I took off points, you can email me. That has happened before. I am human, and sometimes I forget to press submit. Okay. I think that's all I wanted to show you with the class. I wish you a great semester, and I encourage you to email me if you have any questions about the class. You can always, when you send me an email, just let me know what chapter you're working on, what problem. It's, if you can take a screenshot of the problem, that would be great because I don't always have my book with me and I can answer you faster. You can send me your code. You can send me the file that you're working on, and I can look at the code and I can help you debug. That is what I'm here for, so please don't hesitate to email me. Thank you.